The OMP40-2 spindle probe is multifunctional. All settings are configured using the trigger logic technique. This allows you to review the probe settings by observing the multicolor LED display. For ease of use, the OMP40-2 has 3 LEDs spaced evenly around the body of the probe. Each one does exactly the same thing. When observing trigger logic, you need only refer to one of them. The trigger logic also allows you to change the settings by deflecting the stylus and observing the changes in the multicolor LED display. In operation, the multicolor LED shows the state of the probe, whether triggered or seated. The LED also shows the state of the batteries. If the batteries are dead, the LED will stay either constant red or flash red to indicate that the batteries must be changed. Instructions on how to replace batteries are included in this guide. All LED combinations are listed in the user guide. The OMP40-2 can be in one of 3 modes: standby mode, waiting for a switch on signal; operating mode, the probe is ready to be used; and configuration mode, meaning the probe is ready to be configured using the trigger logic method. A detailed graphical explanation of the function of the trigger logic can be found in the Spindle Probe User Guide. To review the current probe settings, remove the battery cassette for 5 seconds. Then reinsert it. When reviewing settings, do not deflect the stylus. The probe now goes through a startup sequence: an LED check, the switch off setting, enhanced trigger filtering, optical transmission type, legacy or modulated mode, probe identification, probe 1 or probe 2. This only applies when the probe is in modulated mode, low or standard optical power, and a battery status review. The probe will return to its standby mode after 5 seconds. The flashing LED colors, sequences, and the mode that they represent are explained fully in the user guide. To enter the OMP40-2 Trigger Logic Settings menu, remove the battery cassette for 5 seconds, deflect the stylus, and, keeping the stylus deflected, replace the battery cassette. Once the battery cassette is installed, keep the stylus deflected for a further 15 seconds, then release it. Once the review sequence is complete, the user has the option to change each mode by deflecting the stylus for about 1 second. To move to the next option, the stylus should be deflected for at least 4 seconds. The OMP40-2 has multiple switch-off methods. To change the switch-off method, deflect the stylus for 1 second. The switch-off methods are red, 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 optical off, in which the OMP40-2 will accept an optical M-code signal. Red, red, green. Short timeout for a 12-second timeout. Red, red, blue. Medium timeout for a 33-second timeout. And red, red, yellow. Long timeout for a 134-second timeout. To move to the next option, the stylus should be deflected for at least 4 seconds. Probes subjected to high levels of vibration or shock loads may output signals without having contacted any surface. The enhanced trigger filter improves the probe's resistance to these effects by adding a trigger output delay to the trigger signal. To change the trigger filter, deflect the stylus for 1 second. Green, green, red. Trigger filter off. No trigger filter is used. And green, green, green. Trigger filter on. A 10 millisecond delay is added to the output signal. To move to the next option, the stylus should be deflected for at least 4 seconds. The OMP40-2 has multiple transmission modes. These are detailed in the user guide. To change the transmission method, deflect the stylus for 1 second. Blue, blue, red. Legacy transmission, start filter off, for use with OMI and OMM with the MI12 interfaces. Blue, blue, green. Legacy transmission, start filter on. The start filter on option improves the probe's resistance to light interference on startup, for use with OMI, OMM with MI12 interfaces. Blue, blue, blue. Modulated transmission probe 1, for use with OMI2 and its variant interfaces, providing substantially increased resistance to light interference. And blue, blue, yellow. Modulated transmission probe 2, for use with the OMI2T and H variant interfaces when twin probe installations are required. Again providing substantially increased resistance to light interference. To move to the next option, the stylus should be deflected for at least 4 seconds. Where distance between the OMP40-2 and the interface is small, the low optical power option may be used. Optical transmission range will be reduced as shown in the user guide, but battery life will be extended. To change the optical transmission range, deflect the stylus for 1 second. Yellow, yellow, red. Low optical power. And yellow, yellow, green. Standard optical power, which is the factory setting for the OMP40-2. To exit configuration mode at any time, leave the stylus undeflected for at least 20 seconds. This puts the probe back into standby mode. It's recommended that all settings are reviewed after programming. The system is now ready for stylus on-center adjustment.